What's going on, guys? Preacher here, and I'm excited to talk to you guys today about Under the Radar 2025 fantasy, sci-fi, and horror releases. I've got some friends who are here to help me, some awesome booktubers and people who just love fantasy, sci-fi, and horror. So we're gonna get started, but let's talk a little bit about how it's gonna go. You're gonna hear from each booktuber, and then I'm gonna have a slide that comes afterwards that you can pause so that you can get the release date, a short blurb, and anything you need to know about that book. So if something excites you, wait until they're done talking, pause the video, go add it to your Amazon wish list, go add it to your Goodreads page. We want you guys to get these on your radar. We know there's a ton of awesome 2025 releases coming up, like The Devils by Joe Abercrombie or The Strength of the Few by James Islington. We know that it's a packed year, but we think these books deserve your attention. So let's get started with our first guest.
What's up, everybody? This is Jake from Nerd Level Rising, and thank you, Preacher, for inviting me to be part of this collab video. This is awesome. I love doing this kind of thing. And here we're talking about 2025 releases that don't have enough hype around them. No one's talking about it, or at least not enough people are talking about it. So let's talk about it right now. And I'm going to talk about the sequel to the Edan trilogy by Philip Chase, Dr. Fantasy himself. If anyone is not aware, he does have a Booktube channel. Just search his name, it'll pop up. He's the man, he's awesome. But his trilogy is fantastic. This is about a holy war that just sort of erupts from page 1 of book 1, right here, The Way of Edan. And we're following Dayraven and his journey through dealing with this massive conflict, and I'll just leave it there for now. And this story is very special to me for two reasons. One, it's a really interesting structure for a trilogy, right? It is not the normal formula that you would expect for a trilogy. And two, this evokes a Tolkien-esque reading experience like nothing else that I have read. This is the closest thing to that vibe that I've gotten from anything else, and I love that. It's awesome. This is truly classic traditional fantasy with a modern lens, a modern twist applied to it. And this completed trilogy has a sequel coming out in 2025. It will be titled While Darkness Gathers, and I know Philip is working on getting it edited currently, and it should be out sort of towards the middle of 2025. So keep an eye out for that. This is just fantastic. More people need to read it. Please go check out the trilogy and get ready for that sequel when it drops, because I know that I am going to be reading it on release day.
Alright, so most anticipated under the radar read. I probably can't go with the finale to the Empire of the Vampire trilogy or the finale to the Sun Eater Chronicles. But I have another author whose prose I love just as much. It's very descriptive, it's very philosophical. I love the world building from their novella Silence is Silver. And that's Andrew Wattson's Shadowbinder series and his book Black Mantle, the second book in the series, coming out in February. If you're watching this video, you're probably well aware who Andrew is. His channel is absolutely phenomenal and his writing is even better. I read Silence is Silver last year, the prequel novella for this series, and I could not have had a better time. It felt like fantasy and Dune coming together in a coming-of-age trials. I absolutely loved it, and I can't wait to get further into the main series and read Harbinger of Justice and Black Mantle in February.
Anticipated reads for 2025. Oh boy, there is a lot I'm really excited for that's coming out this year. However, high on the list is the sequel to The Tainted Cup. I love this book so much, and the sequel, A Drop of Corruption, is releasing this year in April, and I'm very, very excited for it. This is a very addictive series, and the fact that I read this and only the first book was out made me very, very sad. So now I can be happy again.
What's going on, guys? It is my turn, and I want to talk about Arkoma by Callum Lott. This is releasing in 4 days on the 28th of January, and it is a fantasy sci-fi western mashup that is focused on a revenge plot. There's a cast of characters that are getting together to accomplish something that needs to happen in order for the main character to get revenge, and she is dealing with addiction and grief in such a way that really drives forward the plot and helps you to have empathy for the main character. And I'm telling you, the world of this story is so complex, but the author does not hold your hand. And I think it works perfectly. While you're on a pretty simple revenge story, at the same time, you're getting drip-fed information about a world that is just so cool, blending sci-fi, fantasy, technology, and magic. Pick up on January 28th, Arkoma by Callum Lott.
What's up, Preacher? Andrew's Wizardly Reads here, and you asked me for a book that is coming out in 2025 that not enough people are talking about. And what I have for you today is The City That Would Eat the World, More Gods Than Stars, book number 1 by John Bierce. This comes out February 11th. It's an indie book. It's a brand new series from John Bierce. I loved his Mage Errant stuff. And this has got mimics. It's got tons and millions of little gods. It's kind of got a lot of its lore coming from Terry Pratchett and inspiration of the Small God story. Fantastic. Be sure to check this one out.
Hey friends, so the book that I want to highlight for you guys that's coming out very soon on February 25th, 2025 is A Haunt for Jackals by J.L. Odom. This is book 2 in her Land of Exile series, which started with By Blood, by Salt, which is a self-published fantasy blog off finalist from this last year. This book is incredible. This was my number 2 pick out of 100 books that I read last year, and it's absolutely brilliant. This is an author that I will be watching, will be an auto-buy author for me going forward. Her culture and world building and the character arcs that she writes in this book are absolutely insanely good. And book 2, which I'm reading an advanced reader copy of right now, absolutely is meeting all of my expectations and rising up to the standard that book 1 set. So I am so excited to get to book 2 and eventually book 3 when it comes out. And I want more people to be checking out J.L. Odom's work because she is definitely going to be an author to watch.
Hey guys, I am back and I'm breaking rules, and that's okay because it's my video. I asked the producer, he said it was fine. I want to give you guys another recommendation, and that is book 2 of J.L. Odom's series that starts with By Blood, by Salt. It's called A Haunt for Jackals, and it comes out at the end of February. If you've never read the first book, you should hop right on it. I'm reading it early February and we'll have a review up. I've heard only great things and I'm excited to get through it so that I can dive into book 2 at the end of February. If you don't know about this book yet, you're not hearing from the right people because they're all talking about it. Check this series out and be prepared for A Haunt for Jackals at the end of February.
So for 2025 releases that are staying under the radar, I have 2, and both come out in March, funnily enough. So the first one is Those Who Went Before by Elizabeth Spencer. This is a YA steampunk novel about our main character who has been cursed with eternal sleep, but then suddenly she awakens and she finds the world changed forever, and that the story of how she and her then best friend both got this eternal sleep is sort of, romanticized, but it's all wrong. And so we follow her as she tries to navigate the situation. The reason this caught my eye is because it has an asexual protagonist, which is representation that we don't often see in books in general, especially on a fantasy. And it's supposed to be like a fantasy book without a romance, which we also need more of. Nothing against romance, but we need more fantasy that doesn't have romance. So it comes out on the 1st of March. The other one is To Avenge a Fallen Star, which is about this young woman who lives on this planet where the descendants of criminals and exiles are put. And so there's these trials for them to be able to get off, and her sister participated in the trials but died, and so our main character is out for revenge. It is a sci-fi romantasy, which I'm not sure if that means that it's like a sci-fantasy world or just a romantasy, but instead of fantasy, it's sci-fi. But we're just using romantasy because that's the genre that we get. But I'm really excited for both of these. This last one comes out on the 25th of March.
Hey everyone, my most underrated book coming out in 2025 is The Desert Talon by Karen Lochi. This is book 2 of the Crown of Ishia series. I think it's going to be a trilogy. This series is extremely underrated. It's so underrated, in fact, that the first book, The Mountain Crown, I am still the first and only person to review that book on Audible. So if you look, there's one review that is 4 stars. That is me. I'm the only person to do it. So this is an extremely underrated series. Book 2 is basically the story of a prisoner getting a second chance. And the first book really deals with a lot of themes of a group of people being conquered and how life can continue after that and traditions can remain. So I highly recommend that you check out both of these books. They are extremely short. Both of them are going to be under about a 4-hour long listen on Audible.
Hey, what's up, bookworms? Dustin hit me up and want to know what I thought maybe one of the more underrated 2025 releases coming out is going to be. I mean, I have several that I think that are kind of flowing under the radar a little bit, but none much more, I think, than Grave Empire by Richard Swan. And I say that because this book comes out in like 2 weeks, and I don't hear very many people besides like myself and maybe Alan over at Library Alexandria talking about it. But this takes place in the same universe as Richard's Empire of the Wolf series, but it's like 2 centuries later, different characters. He has told me personally that you do not have to read that first trilogy to really understand what is going on with it. With Richard, I think you're going to get a little bit of that horror fantasy that I feel like is such a niche that I never knew that I needed until I got it. Now I realize, yeah, that's something that I've been looking for in my life because I am a big fan of fantasy and I am very much a big fan of horror as well. And when you can kind of do a perfect marriage of those two, I think Richard's one of the best at it, even if it is what you are or are not looking for. I think he's really, really good at it. He writes really good animal companions as well, but his world is just very, very interesting, and the way that some of the, well, let's just say that some of the magic, I guess, I don't even know if that's really what you would call it. You have to read and find out, but I'll be dipping into this very early next month. It does come out very, very early in February, and I hope some of you guys will check it out.
What's going on, guys? This is Josh over at the Reformed Reader, and Preacher asked me, what is a 2025 release that not enough people are talking about? And for me, without question, it's Grave Empire by Richard Swan. Now, I just finished his Empire of the Wolf trilogy. It was fantastic. The characters were great. It's set in a grim, sort of gritty world. The magic system is incredible. It delves into other settings within the trilogy, and if you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. And so by the end of the trilogy, while it was a great conclusion, there was still a bunch of questions that I had that I needed answered. So this is why the Grave Empire is going to be a day one pickup for me. So thank you again, Preacher, for asking me, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
What's up, guys? Back for a third recommendation. Don't tell the producer, though. He told me I had to stop at 2, but I couldn't not talk about Chance Dillon's Mercy, Tears of the Fallen. This is coming out July 20th, and I'm excited to see what Chance is building here in his debut novel. Make sure you check out his YouTube channel. Make sure you check out his social media as he's updating us on this book. I'm going to get my hands on it early, I hope, and I will let you guys know what I think, but I'm pretty sure Chance is going to knock it out of the park. Mercy, Tears of the Fallen, July 20th.
Hi, my name is Rachel. I've been asked to tell you about one 2025 release that I think is underhyped. There are definitely a few that I think need more hype, but the one that I want to talk about today is called The Last Vigilant by Mark A. Latham. What drew me to this book first and foremost was the cover. This gives me such nostalgic, like old 90s fantasy, like cover vibes. And I love this style of cover. Like, I don't know, some of the new fancy fantasy covers are very eye-catching, don't get me wrong, but like they don't necessarily appeal to me. But this art style is one that I gravitate towards too specifically. From what I understand, this book follows a man named Holt Holly, and he is a commander of some soldiers. Apparently, he gets shunned by them, so he's not really like in the army anymore. One day, the child of a powerful ally goes missing, so I think him and some old people that used to be like in his crew go on a hunt for a legend. And this legend that they're searching for is called the Last Vigilant. The Vigilants are a ancient and powerful order of magic wielders in this world, and everyone thinks that they're extinct. No one has heard from them in decades, but there is a rumor going around that there's one surviving Vigilant out there. Now, like I said before, he's on this hunt for the Last Vigilant with a crew of men that he trusts. However, something happens where he ends up having to abandon them and go out on his own, and he stumbles across a woman who claims to be the Last Vigilant. The woman he meets is called Imelda Drake, and she's very wizened and she's out of practice with magic. And she's nothing like what Holt expected to find when he was searching for this legendary person. But they have to band together because nothing in the town of Scarfell is as it appears. This story is set in a place where magic has long since been forgotten, and Enelda is severely out of practice using magic, and she's a little bit older than what Holt was expecting. So Holt and Enelda have to put aside their differences in order to solve this mystery. Apparently, monsters are lurking in dark forests and in shadows at every turn. There's a lot of political corruption with the government and the military. And if Holt and Enelda can't solve this mystery and find this missing girl, then the peace and safety of the entire kingdom is at stake. The reason this sounds so good to me is because obviously, as we can see on the cover here, Enelda Drake is very much like an older woman, and I think it's really refreshing to see like an older woman be this kind of sage wizard character, because a lot of the times it is a man. I feel like Enelda is gonna have to really like get her magic flowing, like get her mojo back, so to speak, over the course of this story. And I get a sense that Holt is gonna be like grumpy and hot-headed and like not have patience with her. So I think their dynamic is gonna be really fun and interesting. And it does have a very classic fantasy-esque vibe, like soldier and a wizard come together and they have to find a missing person and they go on a quest together and then they discover dark forces. Like it is a little bit of that like cliche fantasy plotline, but I have a good feeling that this one is gonna be like fresh and different. And I'm really rooting for Enelda to just be like a spitfire character that we can all get behind. And even though Holt is definitely described as being hot-headed and haunted, I think that he will come around in the end. And I really hope we get to see them build this friendship and maybe a mentorship as well, because I think Holt is probably like half her age. And The Last Vigilant is set to release on June 24th. I can't wait to see everyone else's underhyped 2025 releases. Thanks for having me, Preacher.
What's up, Preacher peeps, and what's up, beasties, because I hope you're watching Preacher Reads, because he is fantastic. Thank you so much, my friend, for inviting me to be on this awesome collaboration where we are sharing some under-the-radar books that are releasing in 2025 that we are excited for. And I'm going to cheat because I've got 5, but they're all indie and they're all awesome, and you need to check them out. So let's get started right away. By Caden Love, we have the Duet of Pernicious Eels, which is book 2, sequel to Elegy of a Fragmented Vineyard, Paladins of the Harvest series. This deals with characters who get magic by consuming the organs of others. Yes, that's as awesome as it sounds. We have Lady Drake Slayer by Bill Adams. It is the sequel to this beautiful, dark, fantastical tale. Look at that. Dragons flying around amidst the city. This fantasy is dark. It deals with gods and dragons, and it sounds fantastic. The sequel to Harbinger of Justice, one of my favorite top reads of 2024 by Andrew Watson, another fantastic booktuber. I have been reading the arc of The Black Mantle, the darker, even edgier sequel, and I am loving it so far. This is fantastic. Like I've said before, it's Aladdin meets Venom meets Stranger Things. We've got book 3 coming out of Corey Ratliff, his Elmirian Chronicles. Book 3 is coming out in June. It is called Ruins of a Shattered Dawn. There's also a prequel novella. Check this out. These books are awesome. And finally, a debut book from an amazing booktuber, Chance Dillon. Check out his channel and get ready for his awesome book, Tears of the Fallen. Check out that cover. Chance is amazing, and I have read a short story by him and some of his book, and it is awesome. It's going to blow people away. Thank you again, Preacher. You are fantastic, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Devour those TBRs. I'll see you in the next one.
So I got kind of in trouble for the last one, but the producer's out grabbing us lunch. So let's talk about JJ Minton's Discovery. If you guys have ever watched Talking Story, it is an awesome booktube channel, and that entire family, husband, wife, and son, have written a novel called Discovery that will be coming out this year, I believe in April. I'm excited to read it. Man, it sounds awesome. If you know those guys, they know their books, they know their media, and they are talented people. It sounds Lovecraftian, but with some humor. It sounds like a mix of so many different genres. I'm excited to read Discovery. They just dropped a trailer for it that Jacob, the son, has done, and they just dropped the cover design, and it looks awesome. Keep your eyes out for Discovery by JJ Minton.
Hey Dustin, and hey everyone, Chris here from the channel Christopher Navo. Man, there are some amazing sounding books on the horizon here in 2025. It was really hard to pick just one. But I like to give a shout out to an author who I feel like has been under the radar and has written some fantastic historical fiction with a little bit of fantasy mixed in. And that is Baptiste Pinson Wu. He has written the Three Kingdom Chronicles, the Undead Samurai, and the Army of One trilogy. And he has an upcoming release here this year that I'd like to call out, Blood of Kami. For centuries, the Yasaki have fought the corrupted souls who seek to plunge Japan into darkness, but the fragile balance is now shifting towards the forces of evil. Ren Fudo, a young soul hunter, blessed with the blood of the Kami, receives a mission from Amaterasu Umakami. This simple errand is a spirit-given chance to pay off his debt to the Yasaki. But as he and his new companion, a shrine maiden possessed by a violent land kami, take to the road, Ren remembers that spirits never give for nothing. The mission turns more dangerous and crucial with every step. The future of Japan now rests on their shoulders, and an army of yokai stand on their path. The Blood of Kami is set for release April 2nd of 2025. I encourage you in the meantime to check out Wu's other works to give you a taste of what he has to offer. Otherwise, happy reading. Thanks for having me on, Dustin, and cheers.
Hey, I'm in big trouble, but Caden loves Duet of Pernicious Eels. It's the second book to Elegy of a Fragmented Vineyard. You guys need to check it out. It's coming out in February. Cover's awesome. Caden seems awesome. I'm excited to read book 1 in preparation for book 2. You need to check it out. First one is Elegy of a Fragmented Vineyard, and then Duet of Pernicious Eels. February. Gotta go.
What's up, you gangsters? It's me, Chance, from Chance Dillon. I'm here just to thank really quickly Preacher from Preacher Reads for inviting me on for this conversation. I think it's really cool to when collaborations happen, and I think this is actually my first one I've ever been a part of. So quickly, we're talking about underrated releases for the year of 2025, and there's only one on my mind. And since Abel reached out to me and showed me this cover, I have fallen in love. I can't wait to read it. I know we're all talking about Discovery from John Min, but now from JJ Min. But let's also talk about The Crimson Fire by Abel Montero. Look at that beauty. I don't know if I'm doing it justice on my iPad. I'm not like good at putting images up in videos. So this is the equivalent. Just imagine that it's like a still here next to my head, but then we'd zoom in, right? And just look at that beauty. So, and ignore the ring light. And also Abel did, I believe, most of the graphic design on this cover. I've been talking with him over on Twitter/X, and he is just an overall overwhelming positive individual to speak to. And I'm so excited to see what this book is about. Please, I think it comes out, and I probably should have looked this up before I did this video, April of 2025. So this year, it comes out in less than 4 months here. Please, please, please go support Abel Montero. He also has a YouTube channel. You can look him up. He constantly highlights self-published authors. And again, thank you so much, Preacher, for having me on.
All right, everybody, thank you guys so much to everyone who participated in this video and for you for watching. And I hope you found some new books that you're excited to read in 2025. Please go support these authors, support the creators. You can find all of their details in the info below this video. If you could give it a like, if you could subscribe, this is a newer channel, but man, I'm really enjoying making content for you guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'll see you in the next video.